What's up, everybody? Ghost Girl 007 here, and today's video is going to be on Haunted Reads. Today on Haunted Reads, right now we're reading I Am Haunted, Living the Life Through the Dead by Zach Bagans. So this is the front cover. If you're new to my channel, we've been reading this book for some time. On my channel, we do some paranormal reading of magazines, different paranormal magazines, and different books. So right now we're on this book, and we are on page 49, and we are in chapter 5, I believe. Deeper connections. Sometimes I zone out like Walter Mitty, and that's not always a good thing. That's what this chapter is supposed to be about. So if you hear any noise in the background, it's just the dryer running. You know that old saying, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it? Someday that's me. I walk through the paranormal door to discover all I can about the spirit world, and I develop a deep connection to the other side that sometimes overtakes me completely, whether I want it to or not. After a paranormal investigation, I seem to have a residual connection with the spirits that I don't know about until days, weeks, or even months later, when they want to make contact. Not the other way around. It's almost like being kidnapped, or at least forced to go somewhere and listen to something regardless of how you feel about it. I worked hard to open a door, but I can't shut it. Recently I was driving home from my mom's house through Las Vegas, and at a stoplight I was suddenly transported back to LA Prisma Mission in Lompoc, California, one of the first investigations we did for Ghost Adventures. It had been the site of some pretty barbaric events, and the spirit energy was so strong there that it stayed with me. But I never knew that it would someday take hold of my mind. While my car was stopped at this light, I was back in the 18th century, sitting around a campfire with the women and children of the Chumash Indians. Everyone was laughing and happy. I was there, really there. It was as if I had gone back in time at a Vegas stoplight of all places. It was so vivid that I couldn't shrug it off as a simple flashback. These reflections from past investigations float in and out of my life like the flute music we captured on the tribal grounds. I feel as though a part of me stayed with the spirits there, and at certain moments those spirits can call upon me and demand that I listen. They can still communicate through me. They seek relief from their pain by igniting visions within me. I get so deep into these visions that it's hard to break free. At the stoplight, I was back in the 1700s. It was a sunny day. The women were making pottery. The children were playing and having a good time. I could feel every bit of it, and I had to force my hand to reach forward and turn on some music just to get myself straight enough to drive home. LA Prisma isn't the only example. I get it from all the places I go. The spirits select me, and I never know which ones are going to come and when. In certain locations, I can almost transport myself back in time to those moments we're investigating. At Gettysburg, for example, I could smell the sulfur and death in the air and see the sunshine on the scorched battlefield in July 1863. I could hear the screams of the men having their legs sawed off. Long after I left the battlefield, I felt pain of the bullets hitting a shoulder in the chest and fell to the floor in agony as he would have fallen as he took his last breath. One time I was at home relaxing in a chair and boom, I was in a recliner at Waverly Hills Sanitarium with other patients who were dying of tuberculosis. We were on the breezeway where the terminally ill spent their days. There was a woman with curly hair. I believe it was one of whose picture was on the wall there. The one I left flowers for. I shared comforting stories with this woman before she died. I don't know what it is, but it seemed like a part of me gets left behind at these locations, and spirit can find me through that. It sounds crazy, but these episodes are happening more and more often now. And they're more powerful every time, which makes me wonder if I'll ever get so strong that I won't be able to get myself back. Will I pass out on the floor and be trapped in another time while doctors try to figure out what's wrong with me and eventually call it something they understand, like a stroke? Many times it's stronger than just a vision, and my emotions are a part of the experience. I really feel that it is an ethical connection that I made during the investigation by opening myself up to the spirits. It's almost like I'm transplanting or channeling them through me and me through them. But it is stored deep inside me and comes out only at certain moments. You could say that I am a human satellite. The spirit reach out to me because they know I have a good heart and a good soul. They know I was sent there for more than a TV show. It's my destiny and my fate. In the beginning, I was more focused on taunting evil spirits and entrancing them into a fight, but now I feel like I do more. I help people, but I also help spirits. When you have a family member who's in pain, what do? You talk to them and show through your empathy that you're also in pain. You comfort them with words and touch and let them sense that you're hurting too, which relieves them. That's what I do for these spirits. I don't just help them, I also guide them through the astral plane. We humans are constantly striving for happiness, so is it so hard to imagine that spirits who were once human would want the same thing? We all want to be free of pain, disease, violence, and suffering. Life is a fight against the adversities. Even when we're happy, we fear falling toward a satellite of illness, trauma, insecurity, or whatever. This is another picture I'm going to show you right now. Most of the places I've investigated have been the sites of atrocities and disasters that result in pain, suffering, and death. These places are vortexes of supercharged emotion, and I believe that the physical surroundings, the trees, the rocks, the walls, can hold on to the energy of these disasters. But most incredibly, so do I, and I frequently experience delayed pain from making contact with spirits. I'm sure we all try to avoid death, but I believe it's this moment of mortality when a person dies that imprints a spirit on its surroundings and keeps some spirits earthbound because they're still fighting to get their lives back. Wouldn't any of us do the same? When I'm not filming, I don't go out a lot anymore. I am not around people as much as I used to be. I don't leave my house like I did a few years ago. Instead, I traveled back to the place I've been to visit the spirits there. Even though I am physically at my house, my mind is always away. I visit these spirits just like you would visit your friends. Usually I see smiles and happiness, which I'd like to think is because I came to see them. I know how strange this sounds, but I don't care. I know it is real. I deal with the world of the unknown and the unexplained. I can't explain why these things happen to me, but they do. All I can do is welcome it and try to learn from it. But I also worry that something darker may be aware that I am involved in it. Am I making things worse by opening myself up? I had a friend who had something dark come through while he was opening himself up to a loving spirit. He's smart, educated, and likable, but he was not aware that something evil could find him. He was so focused on opening up to a good spirit with love and compassion that he never saw the dark one that blindsided him. Your soul is like the Stargate. If you open it up too long to the spirit world, bad things can come through, and they attach themselves to you. His session with the loving spirit were too long and too open, and he was unprepared for what had come, or what had happened. His armor wasn't strong enough to combat anything dark. His emotions were focused on the good things, and that left him vulnerable to the bad thing that came through and still affects him to this day. Dark things have tried to come for me, but I'm always ready for them. I train myself and my soul to be strong while I visit other times and spirits. I gain knowledge from others in the field, parapsychologists, psychics, mediums, and demonologists. I prepare and cleanse myself with prayer, meditation, and communing with Mother Nature. If you try to contact spirits without doing those things first, something bad will take notice and try to destroy you. The more you work in and around the paranormal, the more you open yourself up to the dark side of it, which is dangerous. You're vulnerable to the paranormal diseases that you can't get rid of. This isn't the thrill ride that many people think it is. There are health risks and life or death situations that most people don't understand. I don't fear the visions I have because most of them are sad or happy and pretty non-threatening. However, some are evil, and those are the ones that concern me. One such episode shook me to the core. I usually get visions in the daytime, but of course, we all dream. One night, I dreamed that I had powers. I was a ghost with the ability to move things. I was at a bar and made a glass slide into my hand like a parlor trick. The next thing I knew, a giant satanic creature with hooves and backward ankles was standing in front of me. Then he had control of me. I was frozen as he opened his mouth, and mine opened at the same time. Against my will, smoke came out of his mouth, and I was inhaling, and then suddenly I woke up. I was shaken, but I forgot I got over it. Fast forward a few months, I hadn't told anyone about that dream, and out of the blue I got a text from Chris Fleming, a psychic medium and friend. He'd heard that I bought the demon house and wanted me to be careful because there was a satanic creature with hooves and backward horns in the house that was aware of me. I was chilled like never before. However, how could he have known? I just know, he told me. He's done things like this in the past and is always spot on. So I heeded his advice when I finally set foot in the place. In addition to my connection to the dead, I'm gifted with the ability to connect with the living on a deeper level. I am an empath, meaning that I can feel the emotions of others near me. From a young age, I've had an ability to others' emotions. I know it sounds silly, but I can be at home watching a talk show featuring a man telling a story about his son who was killed in a car accident. And then the next thing you know, I have tears running down my face. I don't feel just a little emotion. I feel strong emotion and a real connection to the person telling the story. Much more than the average person sitting on their couch eating potato chips would. This is just who I am. Long ago, I realized that my emotions are finely tuned instruments that can tap into and synchronize with others. I can feel what other people feel at the same time, intensity, and at the same time, especially sadness and happiness. Emotion is a very important word to me. Being an empath is what helped me cross over into paranormal investigation. My hemisympathy is a valuable skill during an investigation because spirits run the gamut of emotions from anger to pain to sadness and confusion. This is why I took so much criticism in the early days of Ghost Adventures. I get it even now sometimes, like when I was emotional at Preston Castle or laughing uncontrollably at the Stanley Hotel or feeling enraged at Pavia, Italy. I do what an empath does, and this is why my body is an important instrument during an investigation. I can sense when spirits are around me, and I can feel their emotions and energy. Sometimes it is draining and takes its toll, but it's opened me up personally. I get deeper connections and better evidence, voices, communication, orbs, because I can contact with the spirits. How is an empath different from a psychic medium? A true medium has the ability to communicate with and sometimes see the dead through his or her eyes. The medium makes a physical and literal connection that ends up in words being spoken through the medium. I can't do this. I just feel the spirits' emotions and try to connect that way. There are times when I don't want to be an empath, but shutting it off is hard to do. There are times when it's embarrassing because the stereotype of an empath is a weak, sensitive person, and that's not me. There are things I'll fight for and issues I'll stand my ground on. So when I'm around a group of people and I get a sudden surge of sadness from a spirit and feel like crying, I have to fight it off. It's not easy and it takes training, lots of it. The Ghost Adventures crew gets criticized and even ridiculed sometimes because people don't realize what we're going through and can't see any paranormal activity even though we clearly feel it. Just because there is no video or audio evidence of a spirit in a room doesn't mean that they were alone. Nick and Aaron are both sensitives. We can feel things that technically doesn't always capture our bodies are in tune with the paranormal. I firmly believe that. Some people say that our minds are playing tricks on us, but after hundreds of investigations, I know what I feel and what I don't. I don't expect anyone to understand it because we live in a show me society, but to me it's undeniable. Let me show you a picture before we get any further. It's undeniable. We may act goofy or strange sometimes, which the haters love. Oh, they go possessed again. They say without realizing that spirits can use their energy to manipulate empaths and sensitives in a way that regular people are immune to, even though it's right there in front of them. We stay as far away from the drama and crap talking as possible because we know that we're different, and we know when we're in contact with spirits, whether they appear on camera as apparitions or not. In The Matrix, Keanu Reeves is injected with new programs, and he is involved with each new packet of knowledge. It's the same for me as an empath. At every location, I'm infused with new experiences, but not from today. My experiences are the war-torn hills of Gettysburg, the tribal lands of the Chumash Indians, and the hysteria surrounding 19th century Salem. This makes me more well-rounded and trains me to deal with certain situations both in the real world and during investigations. People cast on other TV shows who have no abilities but think they're experts on the paranormal disgust me. They appear on a show and suddenly they're on the paranormal lecture circuit, making mileage out of being on TV. In truth, they have no abilities and no business claiming they do. They're just regular people who can't catch any paranormal evidence, and even then they tell people that their houses aren't haunted. I don't believe in that. I believe there are a few people in this world who have the ability to make deeper connections with the dead, and I am fortunate to be one of them. So if you like stories like this, then just like, subscribe, and comment in the comments and down below. And until next time, stay creepy, guys.